All right, we're live. Welcome everyone to the Ubuntu Community Q&A, this time with David and myself, and Daniel, and we're here to answer all your questions. For those of you who are signed in through ubuntuonair.com, below the video feed, there's a chat widget where you just enter your favorite nickname, hit the connect button, and then you can join us and ask all the questions you want. Because there's always loads of chatter going on in the channel, just make sure that you prefix your question with question in capital letters, and then we can more easily put them up. One thing I'm paid to say is that you should sign up for the Ubuntu on Air Twitter, YouTube, Google+, and all the other accounts you can find, because that way you're going to learn more about which shows are happening as well, what's coming next, and you can also check the old videos and find out what the other teams were doing in the meantime. Right. How's life, David?
All right, life is very good. I might be a bit distracted this week, or rather not as up to date. I was on vacation last week, so I'm still doing a bit of catch up. So if you guys ask a question and I look very surprised, then it's probably because I still haven't learned about that.
In that case, we're going to find somebody else to answer the question.
All right, so people on RSC are telling us they can hear us. That's really good. Thanks for confirming. Yeah, perhaps we could start with some of the news of what's been happening recently.
Yeah.
Daniel, I think you wanted to mention something about social media channels, or
yeah.
was it what you already mentioned about the?
No, something different. As you can imagine, with everything that's going on in Canonical and Ubuntu, Snappy is new. There's loads of new phones. There's work going on desktop Snappy, cloud, and everything else. People sometimes just get busy and they stop sending updates. So every now and then, it's the community team or somebody in management who figures out, okay, we need more updates again. And some of you might have noticed that, for example, on the Ubuntu phone mailing list and other lists like the desktop list, we now have regular updates. So teams like the systems team, system apps team, the core apps team, the web apps team, the SDK team, and others, they're posting weekly updates, and that's how you can find out what's been happening and also ask questions if you have an interest in specific features. What I and others are doing is also posting these on the social media channels. As you can imagine, everyone who likes Ubuntu on Facebook, that's quite a few folks, and a lot of them are probably not interested in details about stuff that goes on in technical teams and so on. That's why we have some social media channels. For example, we have the Ubuntu Dev handle on Twitter, on Facebook, and also on Google+. It's all about Ubuntu development. For example, when work starts on a new Ubuntu release, we announce it there. If we have new developers who join the project, or also stuff about Snappy, we post everything on the Ubuntu development handle. So if you're interested in that, that's where all the information is happening, and that's where you can stay up to date. A similar thing we have for app development. So, for example, if stuff happens in the SDK team, or you have a new UI toolkit, or there's new features, or whatever, that kind of stuff is happening on Ubuntu App Dev, and it's the same handle on Twitter, on Facebook, and on Google+. You can find it everywhere there. Yeah, I thought I would mention it just because we now have new updates and we have them regularly, so that's how you can stay up to date. I quickly check if there's any questions in the meantime. David, you might have an update as well.
Yeah, we've got a couple of phone updates this week. some of you might have already heard, but essentially, in addition to the current Aquarius E4.5, which was the first device where Ubuntu was launched, the company that made that phone, BQ, are launching another device with Ubuntu, the Aquarius E5. Which is something that we're very, very much excited about, not only at Canonical and at Ubuntu, but also I know that the BQ guys are as well. Essentially, this is a device which is an upgrade from the Aquarius E5, sorry, E4.5. It's got a bigger screen. It's got a 5-inch screen and the same chipset essentially as the 4.5. If you go to the BQ site, you'll find all of the details about the cost and how to get it. But essentially, I think you can already get it from their shop. Yeah, essentially, if you go to bq.com, you can get the new Aquarius E.5 Ubuntu edition straight from their shop.
Yeah, I just had a quick look at the website. It turns out that the E5 also comes with a bigger battery and also more internal memory. So that might be interesting as well. And it's just, I don't know, is it 20 or 30 euros more?
Yeah,
so it's quite a fantastic deal.
All right. Okay. The other thing that the other update that we have is the upcoming OTA 4, which is the next update for the phone. OTA stands for over-the-air updates. And one of the things that people have been telling us that they love is the fact that the commercial devices and developer devices sorry, I just lost my thread. I got pinged. So yeah, one of the things that people have told us that they love is that is the fact that we update devices regularly over the air without the need to do some complex package updating. You can essentially get a notification every time there's an update. And then yeah, the system prompts you whether you want to play it or not. So we've got one next coming up. It's called the OTA 4, and it's got a bunch of bug fixes and I believe for the I think are we switching to Vivid on OTA 4? I'm not yet sure. But in any case, it's one where there's lots of improvements to GPS location, to battery life, and to bug fixes to all the system and core apps. So something to look forward to.
Yeah, that's at least how I remember it. That we're going to update to Vivid, which comes with a new Qt and that's about the good stuff. It's definitely going to be worth it.
Yeah, and you'll notice a few differences on the, as far as I know, on the, I've got a Vivid device here. I think I don't have it on my table right now, but anyway, you'll notice some differences with the current devices in terms of the design as well. There have been some visual improvements, not anything radical, but you'll notice them. But as I say, performance, battery life, and bug fixes on apps are the things to look forward to. Okay, all right. I think we've got some questions. We've got a question from Suavik to Daniel. Daniel, can you share your experience when working at the office using only the Ubuntu phone? I think that was from Mike, though.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, life is good with just the Ubuntu phone. Like, I have nothing I'm missing. Like after many folks told me about it, for example, I installed Podword last week. And it's fantastic. I'm listening to podcasts and mixes and everything while I'm working. Everything from my phone. It's beautiful. Yeah, I don't know what I might be missing. And right now I'm even running Wiley, like the newest development release, and even that is running super stable. It's great.
Cool. All
How
right.
about you, David? Do you
I
miss anything, or is I don't
well,
know?
the one thing that I was missing was navigation app, and I've just found out that I've got one right now on my screen, which I should probably show. Is it? Oh, there you go. So there's a GPS navigation app that was created by Marcos Costales and an Ubuntu developer, which is pretty cool actually. This was one of the things I said that I was missing, and right now my car is in the garage, so I cannot, or in repairs actually at the workshop, so I cannot really test it other than running around in the house. But other than that, it's working well to calculate the routes. And in terms of other things that I might be missing on the phone, I think that's pretty much all that I need. I mean, one thing that I use all of the time is Telegram. I couldn't live without the messaging application. I'm still missing a bit WhatsApp because some people that I know that want just one switch. So I've got another Android phone lying around, but just to use WhatsApp essentially. Right now I've got my SIM card, actually my SIM cards on this phone. I've got a Spanish SIM card and a German SIM card, so I don't have to carry two phones around anymore, which is also quite cool. So yeah, pretty happy with it.
Yeah, I'm quite glad that a lot of my friends decided to leave WhatsApp for Telegram at some stage. So I was lucky there. Okay. We have another question from Viti Miti, and it is there any idea on a date in which Unity 8 can be the default for the desktop? As always, when it's ready.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you'll see quite a lot of development going on 15.10. That won't be the day where you get the final version, but we're planning on having the first cut at having Unity 8 running as the desktop environment, not switching to default. What's going to happen here is that we'll be keeping the Debian-based image for 15.10, and then migrating to the snappy version for Unity 8. So for 15.10, you'll see the two versions still, Unity 7 and Unity 8, and then at some point we will have only the Unity 8. Well, we will have a Unity 8 version that's going to be usable for your day-to-day tasks. The Debian-based distribution will still be around for quite a long time.
It's been taking a bit longer to, probably I shouldn't say it's taking a bit longer, but for Unity 8 to work well on the desktop and also to have things we use on the phone, like the store to the desktop, we needed to get a lot of other stuff working first. One of them was, a big one was to get Mir on the desktop. Mir has been working on the desktop well, but it was with the phone features that we had in the beginning. So that was one blocker. It's one thing we talked about quite often. Just through Mir, we could have app confinement, for example, working properly, and that's what will bring us the Ubuntu software store to the desktop. Right now, the software store just works for the phone and for Snappy, so for Ubuntu Core, where we can guarantee that everything is working in a confined manner with X11, which we use for Xorg, which we use for desktop right now as a display manager. that's just not possible, at least not in the way in which we require it. So slowly but surely, and I'm excited that at the same time we're going to land Unity 8, Mirror, the store, Snappy, and everything else on the desktop, even if it's not going to be the default in the beginning or a separate image or something. But I'm very excited that everything is landing at the same time. It will also make lives a lot easier for all the developers working on the desktop, on the phone, and so on, because they're just looking at one code base together. That's going to be just fantastic. Especially Unity 8 and Mirror were written with test-driven development in mind. So the general test and QA story is much better. So we're all going to benefit from that.
Cool. Yeah, and I mean, conversions also is something that we want to be focusing only on the development side. Also, from the community team, we'll be focusing on convergence. You should probably check out once he's back from holiday and traveling in other events. You should stay tuned to Michael Hall's blog for updates on convergence. One of the first things that we will see on convergence is the first snappy image. You'll hear, related to the convergence topic, you will hear quite a lot the snappy personal code name, just to call it something. Snappy Personal is essentially the snappy version of the Ubuntu desktop, and the first piece of work that will need to happen, or is happening right now, is to create this first snappy-based image. And once we've got that, that will help us figuring out also quite a lot of the other things that need to be addressed. And most importantly, this will give something for folks to start testing and to start playing around and giving feedback for. So I think I'll say I've been a bit out of the loop for the last week, but I think in the next week or two we should have a working snappy-based desktop image, which people will be able to start playing around with. So this is something also, again, to look forward to.
Awesome. Okay, here's a question from Look Akar. Have you guys tried the Snappy Ubuntu Next image? How is it? I think Next is probably referring to Unity Next or Desktop Next. So that's what what David just talked to about. Sebastian Bachet, who is, I think he's tech lead of the desktop team, who's been doing the Ubuntu desktop for ages. He was just successful to build snappy desktop images, and that just happened today. And we're still in the process of putting it all together, that Snappy works. You can just DD it onto a stick and then try it out. So that's work that is happening just right now. Talking about Ubuntu Snappy, I think we both tried out the images, right?
I haven't tried the Snappy one yet. Tried the.
But I meant the regular Ubuntu core Snappy.
Oh, right. Yeah, of course, yeah. So the Ubuntu core ones. I haven't been playing with it actually lately, but yeah, I even wrote an app which I need to publish to the store at some point, or I should say probably rather a snap.
Cool.
So yeah, I mean, the snappy version of the desktop is based on Ubuntu core, with essentially with the desktop on top, which is essentially snappy personal. So yeah, I encourage everyone to test it. I wasn't aware that Seb had already managed to create the image today. So these are really good news.
Yeah, it's I don't think it's the image, but it's the root FS, so the bits that are needed for the image, and now they need to put it all together and make it work. And he said he would drop me an email as soon as they're done. So I'm looking forward to that. About Ubuntu Core, Snappy in general, I've seen a few people who didn't quite get what they were expecting. So, for example, if you install Ubuntu Core Snappy on a BeagleBone Black or on a Raspberry Pi or any device, or just let it run in a KVM, you're going to get a very minimal Ubuntu. Basically, what it is a minimal Ubuntu where you just have Snappy. You don't even have apt-get, so you can't apt-get install, I don't know, something. But Snappy will access the Ubuntu store. And the idea is basically that you have this minimal system which works really well. You can do updates, you can do rollbacks. It's in that sense a bit more comfortable than a regular Ubuntu system, especially if you think of appliances, for example, and you get all the other apps on top of it. Basically, you have this bare bones system, and then you install apps, and it's in that way much it's neater and more organized than a regular Ubuntu system. And we're going to get all of the goodness to the desktop as well. Okay. Here was a question from Look a Car. I've installed Ubuntu Next, but I have NVIDIA and it's kind of broken. When will Ubuntu Next work on NVIDIA? I just pinged somebody who's working on this, and he basically said ASAP.
I think in the meantime, if I remember correctly, you can even use the Nouveau driver, and that should work.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's still work ongoing. Okay. There's still some more discussion about the desktop next build. So it looks like it was interesting. David said to me yesterday, can you have a look and see how can we convert a click package like the terminal app to a snap package? And I asked Seb, like, so you were working on this desktop next image. When is it ready? Is there anything I can play with? Is there any documentation? He basically said, like, half the company sent me exactly the same email. So it looks like there's a lot of excitement.
Yeah, and it seems from the questions and from the conversation on Ubuntu on Air, it seems as well. So yeah, just bear with us with just a couple of weeks perhaps, and then we'll have something to test. Someone is actually Luca Car is actually asking another question. So Mir is just a snap. So in theory, in the future, we will have different components for Snap going on top of Ubuntu Core. Mir might probably be a framework, but I'm not too sure yet. And then any applications will be snaps or snap packages on top of that. That's going to be the future. In terms of the first Snappy personal image, the idea is that it's going to be an MVP. An MVP meaning in this context a minimum viable product. So the first version that you will see will essentially be a big snap containing everything that you will need for the desktop on top of Ubuntu Core, and essentially the idea is to get the minimum core functionality and then expand on that. So Mir might probably just be with the same snap as the rest of the desktop, which will include also default apps, which will be those from the phone, essentially core apps or system apps. So that's what's to expect from this first image.
Yeah. So basically, frameworks in the Snap sense mean it's a collection of software bundled in one package basically, which provides a specific purpose. So I don't know if it's going to be a framework, but for example, you could think of it like Bluetooth functionality, something. In Ubuntu, there's loads of different packages you need to have the full Bluetooth stack running. But in the Snappy world, it's going to be one framework, and that's going to make life easier. You could even have like competing services or competing Bluetooth frameworks. So somebody offers something, at least as if the service levels and everything are well defined, it should be no problem. But you could easily exchange different frameworks if necessary.
There seems to be another question from guest 66293. I guess someone who's been logging through the web widget. Question: when will Mir support dual video card systems, Intel plus NVIDIA Optimus? I'm not sure, to be honest. I'm not sure it's a question that I can answer myself. Daniel, do you know perhaps?
No idea, but I'm asking the folks right now, so we should have an answer in a bit.
Cool. All right. Okay, so perhaps another thing that might be interesting to mention is something that I wanted to blog on sometime this week once we've finished. But one of the things that we're working this week is to define the community team plans for the next cycle, and generally they go in a few big areas where each one of us or each one of us in the team or two or more of us are working on. Convergence is one of them, for example, and you'll see related to that some of the updates of what's been happening, some videos, and also some of the work that we'll be doing to support those who want to participate with testing, both manual testing or with autopilot tests, and also you see some more activity in terms of video updates being posted. Another area where we'll be working on, and that's the area where actually Daniel will be most active, is Snappy itself. We're essentially starting to grow the Ubuntu Snappy community, and we're tackling this from different areas. Essentially, one of the things that we'll be doing is working on developer on RAM, just to mention one of them, where we want to make sure that we've got a good set of tutorials for the developers who want to get started writing snaps for Snappy. Another area is also making sure that we're working with existing maker communities, where those who have been developing Internet of Things gadgets or applications are aware that there's this thing called Snappy that they can use, and that we also listen to their feedback to see how we can make Snappy better for them to use. We'll go into more detail perhaps sometime in the week once we finish the plans, but I thought this would be something interesting to mention on the Q&A as well. Some other areas where we'll be working as well are going to be on core apps related to convergence as well. And there goes my alarm. So for core apps, one of the things that we'll be looking at will be making sure that the applications work well on a desktop environment as well. So this might mean new layouts, new design work, or in some cases the layout might be already good enough, but we'll we'll need to make sure that that the applications do work on a desktop setting as well. At some point, we will be migrating the Click apps to Snap packages as well. Essentially, what Daniel was mentioning earlier on, and yeah, I mean, on some of these new devices that are being announced, the Meizu, the Aquarius A5, you'll see the goodness of core apps and with new features as usual. Quality is also another area where we'll be focusing on. We're still discussing the plans in there, so stay tuned for an update on this one. And also, finally, Ubuntu is also another area where the community team will be focusing on. Ubuntu are community organized conferences, and the work that we're doing is simply to support the organizers and to make sure that they've got everything they need. Some of the things that we'll be doing is to make sure that there are canonical speakers who can support them with talks, and also any question that requires that comes from the organization, anything that we can do to promote ObuCons. It is something that we'll be doing. I should probably mention the two next ObuCons coming up. We will have ObuCon LA in August in Peru, and we will have ObuCon D, ObuCon in Germany, coming up in October in Berlin this time around. I'm really excited about both, actually, but perhaps even more for the one in Berlin, because it was one of the ones that was originally going to be a virtual conference, and then in the end the organizers managed to secure some location to run the event, and it being in Berlin is also a really exciting city. I'm going to attend that one, and I think Daniel will be as well, so I'm really looking forward to that one.
Excellent. Yeah, I just heard back from Thomas on the driver front. Basically, the answer is the same. As for NVIDIA, it relies on closed source development. That's out of the ballpark for Ubuntu, but he said soon. Do you want to talk some more about the community team plans, or should we look at the other questions?
Yeah, I think, I mean, that was pretty much it. A bit of a high-level summary. I'll be publishing a blog post with the details towards the end of the week. But yeah, I think we can just go and take some of the questions that have been piling up in there.
Yeah, it was good to mention that, because I can imagine that quite a few folks don't exactly know what the community team is doing or who's on the team and what's going on. But basically, in all the places where there's lots of stuff happening right now. And it was a good summary.
Okay, so from Luca Carr again, question: when will the phone use Snappy Core? That's a really good question. Essentially, the plan right now is to start with Snappy Personal, and Snappy Personal will help us migrate also, or to push the infrastructure as well, and to help us migrate the phone to Snappy Core. We don't have any dates yet. The thing right now is that we've got several devices that we have to support for with clicks, and yeah, I mean, at this point, the first priority is to get Snappy Personal working correctly, and then from there, then we will look at the phone. But yeah, definitely, the phone will be migrating to Snappy Core as well.
An interesting question from Silvio coming up. Silvio asks, does Canonical have long-term plans for the Ubuntu platform? For example, what's the time difference between deciding to build Ubuntu for mobile and the actual announcements? Are you working on stuff right now that will be announced next year?
All right, so you're trying to get us to tell you some secrets, right? On the juicy ones. Well, I mean, obviously, yeah, Canonical does have long-term plans for the Ubuntu platform. Right now, the big focus is already known. That's Snappy, and it's essentially taking Ubuntu to the next level, to something that's modular, that's secure, and that is something that can be used. Well, it's a modern distribution essentially that can be used on the desktop, on IoT, on mobile devices, and on the cloud. So quite a lot of the development, quite a lot of the planning goes around Snappy right now. In terms of the time difference between deciding to build Ubuntu for mobile and the actual announcement, I think actually we've already mentioned this publicly, but I mean it's been 2 years essentially. The work that the amount of work, the amount of time that took us for doing the for essentially having something in the market. In terms of doing the actual announcement, I'm not quite sure. I cannot remember. I'd have to tell you something off the top of my head. I'd say perhaps a year, perhaps a bit less than that, but I cannot remember. I'd really have to check. It was a massive undertaking building the phone, and it's been really rewarding for everyone to see the actual result. I mean, I think it's been, I'd say, 2 years and a half of work. It's required new infrastructure. It's required like a mind shift of all of the traditional distro mindset, I would say, or the traditional distro infrastructure and processes. So yeah, essentially, we don't have anything right now that we will be announcing in the next few weeks. If this is something that you're looking at, it's mostly around about Snappy, but there's quite a lot of exciting things going on in there.
Yep, you could also imagine that it's always a bit different. Like sometimes you would have a developer in some team saying, "Oh, look here, I did an experiment over the weekend, or here's something I did. Maybe we should pursue this." And then you do a bit more work to figure out if this is actually work, and is it something that might be good for users, or might be a good product we could sell, and so on. It depends when something is announced, especially for those plans, as David said, when Mark first announced them, that we want to have Unity working on phones and TVs and everything else. That was a bigger plan, much bigger plan. And as David said, it required changes on a team level, like how do people work together, Launchpad, the infrastructure, like everything basically. And in that sense, I found it interesting to note how people talk about this online, because there was so much excitement and people wanted the Ubuntu phone and Ubuntu phone. Like 2 years of waiting seemed a bit too long to a lot of them, and which was, I don't know, it was I could understand it. Like I wanted to have an Ubuntu phone as well, but on the other hand, we're working transparently, we're working publicly, and if you can see how long it takes to put something like this together, it might take 2 years, right? So that was interesting to see. But in general, as I said, it's always different. Like if it's something that can be announced and it's clear that it's going to work, it might be much quicker than the Unity 8 and the phone announcement.
All right. Luca has got another question. Actually, it might be two questions. All right. Is there a plan to have the same Ubuntu version on the desktop and phone? The phone is lagging now, if I understand it correctly. Well, yeah, that's the plan. That's the plan all along, essentially, to have exactly the same Ubuntu version. I mean, I should say probably the same core and the same code base. Right now, the main difference between the phone and the desktop is the fact that the phone uses Unity 8, which is the latest version, and it uses Mir as the display server, whereas the desktop uses Unity 7. The idea is to converge on these technologies and to end up using Unity 8 and Mir everywhere, essentially. So it's not that the phone is lagging; it's probably the other way around. It's the fact that the desktop is still on Unity 7, but
yeah, it depends a bit how you look at it. On the one hand, before OTA 4, phones are going to be on Utopic or some RTM tag, and now they're moving to Vivid and Ubuntu. There's already the widely release. On the other hand, you have new technologies such as Mirror and Unity 8 on the phone, which you don't have on the desktop yet. So you can already see that release management isn't quite easy. That it's for the gatekeepers. It's not also the people making the decisions. What goes in and what are we developing against? It's not always quite easy to figure out what goes where. So yeah, you can't really say who's lagging, but I think it's clear that the day when we have one code base, it's going to be easier for everyone.
all right. Johnny Boy is asking, I have a question about the Meizu MX4 with Ubuntu. Has the front button any function like waking up the device, or is the button deactivated? I don't have a Meizu device with me, so I'm not exactly sure whether there's a function, but I'm pretty certain it's not waking up the device. I mean, I remember there was a discussion about it. I think it was discarded on the grounds of it being not too effective in terms of battery consumption. So I'm not too sure. I think we might need to ask one of the experts on Ubuntu Touch. Okay. And another question from Flash: Are scopes coming to Ubuntu desktop soon? I'm guessing scopes with Unity 8. That's the question. And yeah, I mean, the whole of Unity 8 is coming to the desktop, so that's including scopes. Dragon77 is asking, any news or hints of a tablet coming? We don't have any news to share right now. We're focusing on convergent on the desktop, but that does mean as well that that we're making sure that that tablet tablet development is still ongoing, and we've still got tablets as part of our reference devices. Silvio is asking, do the current scopes on the Ubuntu phone have any feature in the desktop version of Unity 8? Yes, definitely. I mean, obviously there will be some changes to adapt them on the desktop, but for example, the app scope is something that can be extrapolated directly to the desktop. The today scope, for example, would be quite an interesting one to have on the desktop too. Videos, music is something that's already on the desktop today, so it's just again a one-to-one conversion. So I think to summarize, definitely, I think there's future for phone scopes to go to desktop. Dragon77 is asking, will Steam and games on it support Unity 7 Mir? What is Valve's opinion on it? I think you will need to. I'll need to find you an expert to answer this one. This one probably properly. I think rather they will be supported by Xmir, but I say I'm not an expert of it. In terms of Valve's opinion of it, I haven't been in conversations with Valve. So Daniel, I'm not sure if you have got any more context on this one.
No, I just know that Mir support is being landed in more and more frameworks such as SDL. So more and more games are coming to Mir as well. But I haven't talked with Steven either, so Valve either. So I don't know.
So perhaps an action item from today's call might be for us to find out, and then perhaps try to answer some of these questions at the start of the next Q&A next week.
Yeah.
All right. So Dragon77 is asking, will we make any special feature which would make it easy for two Ubuntu-based devices, for example, a phone and a desktop, to communicate? So just sharing files and streams. I think right now the best bet would be to rely on third-party services or on the cloud. I mean, you might be familiar with Ubuntu One in the past, but I mean, we decided that the best path forward would be to focus on the development of the new desktop, and not trying to make a third-party online service that's better than something that's already in there. So I think that's probably the best option, the best answer that I can give you right now.
And yeah, I mean, it should be a nice weekend project or something if you want to write something that, I don't know, transmits or does a backup of your data via Bluetooth or whatever. Like, sky's the limit there. But I'm waiting for those tools as well. It should be really interesting to see what people come up with.
All right. AirTank is asking, so about conversions, will, for example, music app from the phone have scroll bars or menus on the desktop? Essentially, it should have the features that you would expect from a desktop app. So it should have support for keyboard shortcuts. It should have a different layout that's more appropriate for the desktop. In terms of scroll bars, I think it should have them, but I haven't seen the latest designs. I mean, I know that the music app developers are working on conversion designs right now that the design team have provided. In terms of menus, I don't think there are any menus right now on the music app, because there hasn't been any needs for them. Right now, the settings that we have, actually, I don't think we have any settings on the music app right now, if I remember correctly. Let me just open it. So the first iteration won't have menus. That's something that I can tell you, but it will have desktop specific features such as a specific layout, and also appropriate shortcuts as well.
If you're interested on how the Ubuntu UI toolkit is moving forward in terms of conversions, there was recently a blog entry by the SDK team. It was up on the developer ubuntu.com on the blog there. So you might also want to have a look at that to see what the team's plans are. But it's definitely on the team's roadmap. Like, they're working with design and are actively thinking of solving these problems. Naturally, what works well on a phone doesn't naturally work well on the desktop. So there's going to be changes in there.
All right. Question: how does one become an Ubuntu insider? That's a really good question, actually. So just to give some context for those of you who are not, new to the Ubuntu Insiders group, these are a set of individuals who have inside information on the development on the phone, and they also get early access to devices to review them as well. In terms of the profile for an insider, there's different backgrounds essentially. Being an Ubuntu insider is a bit of a mixture between being an Ubuntu advocate and being quite active promoting Ubuntu and on social media channels and also on physical events. Some of the insiders are actually core app developers or people who have contributed to core apps, who have been with us from the early days of the phone, have been helping not only on development but also on spreading the word about the phone. Some other ones, some other insiders are perhaps not involved in the day-to-day development, but they have reviewed and promoted the Ubuntu phone on their social media channels with video reviews or with blog posts and essentially doing advocacy for the phone. So that is more or less the profile. In terms of how does one become an insider, it's about the work that you've been doing, essentially. All of the things that I've been mentioning, with the rest of Ubuntu, is about meritocracy, and it's about getting noticed for the good work that you're doing. So yeah, for example, one of the recent insiders, Stormflood, to use his Cynic, has been doing excellent work in blogging about the phone with a series of blog posts about hacking the Ubuntu phone. And it's not only about blogging, it's been about him taking the initiative to talk to the right people and to pushing the boundaries of finding out what you can do with the phone. So it's essentially the same type of work that people are doing when they're working with Ubuntu and when they're trying to contribute to Ubuntu. It's just essentially taking the initiative to find out things, to see areas in which you can contribute, and making sure that everyone knows about Ubuntu on the phone. So yeah, it's a bit of a long answer. I hope that I have given you the answer that you were expecting. Okay, so we've got about 8 minutes left. So I'd say if you've got any last-minute questions, let us know. As usual, prefix them with question. If there's anything that's not been clear from the current answers, just let us know, and then yeah, we can try to clarify. But yeah, I think that was pretty much what we wanted to mention this week. I think the big highlight will be whenever we've got this new snappy personal image, perhaps on the next Q&A or on the next one.
Perhaps review.
Yeah, we can answer some of the questions in there.
Also, maybe we're going to have a snappy update 15 or 4.1 that's being worked on right now. So maybe that's going to be ready next time.
Cool. All right then. So perhaps if there are no more questions, we can wrap it up here. Daniel, any last minute announcements? Anything?
No.
Okay.
All said.
All right then. Oh, we should perhaps mention, to make Jose happy, that you can go to ubuntuonair.com to see everything that's going on the on the channel, or subscribe also to the Ubuntu On Air calendar to get to essentially see all of the events that are coming up right on your own personal calendar.
Excellent.
All right, so I'd say let's wrap it up for this week. Thanks everyone for your questions, thanks everyone for following us, and then see you again next week.
Thanks everyone. Take care.
All right. Bye.
Bye.